Hello. Today I'm joined with Marta, who we've probably met about 3 years ago now, didn't we? When I did the introduction into the somatic international training. And I was originally drawn to you because you share my passion of helping people with stress and anxiety. And you use horses as well, but you're obviously in a much nicer environment than I am because you're in the sunny Spain, which obviously I came to visit last year as well, which is the most beautiful, idyllic place. I came and did some training with you, which was amazing and a really memorable experience, especially going up those mountains. Um, but today we want to talk a little bit about somatic healing and the work that we do. Obviously, you're more of an advanced instructor than me. So obviously, I'm really keen for you to talk about how the work that you do impacts people. And we're hoping for you to come over in May as well this year. So we want people to hear that you're coming over, and your work is obviously more advanced than mine and gets more deep into the nervous system regulation. But let's talk a little bit about you, Marta. Tell us a little bit about what you do and your journey, and how you
Yeah.
got into working with horses as well.
Thank you, Dina. It's amazing that it's 3 years already. The time goes so quick. Yeah. Well, all the story began because I met a horse. I was 40. I met a horse. Never had horses at home, or all these stories horses from teenager. No. At my 40s, I met my first horse. But the horse made me feel a lot of things. The relationship with the horse made me feel something that I was not used to feel working with people or being with people. And that was really astonishing for me. It's like understanding what was going on in a round pen with people and horses in my head. But then I just come into the round pen and all my stuff disappear and I felt my body blocked. I didn't know what to do with all that. So for me, it was so incredible that outside I could think and it was easy in my mind, but I was into the round pen with a horse and my horse reacted completely different. And that was the beginning. Then I went to the United States and I had a huge session with a horse. I get into an anxiety and a fear. I thought of myself that I was brave and clear in my mind. And then in a second, the horse went mad. I went mad. And everything was completely different. So after that session, I was doing horse coaching in Colorado. I thought, Marta, you have to know more about people because I had an idea of myself. And then all of a sudden I was in a mud completely different, not being able to react or organize or nothing. So there I met somatic experiencing in the United States. And I think you have to learn that because you have to know more about people if you want to do horse coaching with people. Because
Yeah.
myself, I was not aware of what happened in my body. So I began to do somatic experiencing, learning more about people. And what was the surprise that the more I learned about nervous systems of mammals, the easiest that was my relationship with my own horses. So
Mm.
I begin to discover that between animals, mammals, the nervous system is the key. There is a language driven by the body sensations, the nervous systems that allow me to connect in a different way because a horse is different from humans or from dogs. So it was much nicer the relationship I have with my horses. They teach me a lot, and the best thing that they teach me is to be aware of the very tiny little changes in the nervous systems of myself and other people. That was the beginning.
Yeah, and I think we've all had one of those special moments, haven't we, where we've met a horse that's taught us that. We've had that experience, that experiential learning that we talk about. Because many people say to me, I don't get why you use horses. And It's an experience that you've had that completely changes your path and the way that you think about things
Yeah.
and the way that you feel. And actually, I know somebody bought this to me about 15 years ago, learning about the nervous system and how that sort of has an impact on you and your animal, your horse. But it went over my head. I just wasn't ready to learn at that point. But this journey continued with my horse, and the same as you have that light bulb moment, don't you? And this is where we're different in what we teach. I mean, obviously, I'm working in the UK, and I have a number of horses that I work with, and we deliver projects in the same way you do. But you need that light bulb moment because the theory sometimes just isn't enough.
Yeah, that's what happened to me. Now I know the nervous system is organized in a way that when you feel threatened, you cannot think sometimes. It's blocked. Something in the nervous system is blocked. So that's the thing. In normal life, you don't feel so threatened normally. But a horse, is so big, unpredictable as you don't know it. I mean, horses are not some animals that you have at home. In England, I don't know, but here in Spain, not everyone has a horse or has a relationship with a horse. So for me now, what is amazing of a horse is when you met the horse first time, or one new horse that you don't know, the nervous system is challenged because you are in front of a new being, and the nervous system has to decide if is it safe for you or not, the more that you
Yeah.
approach, and then you react. There's many times that you cannot think as you probably think in therapy. Let's say in therapy you can think, you can be blocked, you can be disconnected, but in front of a horse, every tiny thing that happens into your body has an impact on the horse, and it goes quick. That it goes quick is a second, a
Yeah.
way of looking at the horse, something that goes into your mind. It's quick, and
Mm.
that is what is really helpful, because people begin to be more sometimes not authentic, but they cannot think in which word are they using. They cannot prepare. They are there, and they have to be themselves. I mean, they cannot think of doing something. They are doing. They are doing
Mm.
from the very moment that they go out of the car,
And
and
what
that's
what
interesting.
what people don't realize is that horses are, people think, have this vision that you stick a bridle on a horse, you stick a saddle, and that's all they're good for. We jump on a horse, kick it to go, pull it to stop. But actually, I think it's starting to change now, where people are starting to realize that actually it's man's agenda to jump on the back of a horse, and
Yeah,
actually they have another value, and they can teach us more about ourselves than we could ever learn just in theory.
yeah,
They read body language, they sense what's happening in our nervous system, and they're the most clever animals on the planet. I believe I am absolutely in love with them, and they'll never be a part of not be a part of my journey or my life, because and when you work with them so closely like we do, you get to know them so well. I mean, watching you work with your horses last year was amazing, because you know them better than probably you know your partner.
I don't know. In a different way. Let's say in a different way. I mean, what I see from my clients, human, we are a social animal, and what we love most is being together. So, being together with an animal, and when you go with that animal, on the ground, just walking and together with no rope, um, is always a big thing for people. I mean, it's not going with a dog that you have a rope, With a horse, no rope, you stop, the horse stops. You look at some place, the horse stops at some place. You go running, the horse runs. This synchronicity, this being together, opens the heart in a way that I've seen. I never saw that with other animals. People get completely astonished, and it's some feeling of being together. I don't know how to explain that. You know that, but every
Yeah,
time going together is something that's really healing, because humans are social animals. When we are alone, it's really painful, and our society now has a lot of pain being alone together, but alone, disconnected. And with a horse you have to be in a place and learn. It's how to say, it's a funny way, it's a beautiful way to learn to tame your own nervous system. It's like dancing or singing. It's different. It's being together with a being that it's huge, with a huge heart, and it's wild at the same time. It smells wild, and it smells animal. And I think that all humans remember when we live, in the countryside, because we are made to living in nature, not in that cities.
absolutely. So I mean, we obviously have a primal instinct to live on the land with our animals. And what we're teaching people in our work really is to reconnect with those skills that we've lost.
Yeah,
And it's fascinating to take people on that journey of change once you use an animal to demonstrate all those things that we've been socially taught to ignore, or socially created behaviors that actually are not serving us well anymore. And obviously you and I have both come to a point in our lives where we've changed our direction and chosen to take that journey with horses. And because those things that were happening in our past before were not serving us well anymore, and we've want to discover and learn more about ourselves. And you are right, we shouldn't live individually, and we should live in packs, and we were always meant to live in herds, weren't we,
yeah,
like the horses?
yeah,
But tell
yeah.
me a bit about your helping the prisoners, because this is like the fascinating bit for me that I just find absolutely fascinating. If I'd be coming to the prisons with you if it wasn't all in Spanish, because I
You
don't
can come
understand
if
it.
you want. This morning I was talking with a client of mine that it's working in other prisons in Asia, and with other type of inmates. What is interesting in prison, I remember the first time I entered prison, and I went into a big room with different inmates, and I felt like, that this is really animal. It's animal in the sense that it's not the words. Usually they are so good at looking at people and knowing about body language that I felt comfortable with that, because it was like being with
With a
horses.
horse.
Yeah. And what is really nice to work with them, with the horses, is that the horse don't judge. And probably the teaching for most of them is to feel that they were threatened, they were traumatized, and they can see themselves in another way, and being helped by the horse and by me to get back to this feeling of being together and not seen as something bad. It's there, we are heard. Everybody works the same way. Me, the psychologist, the inmates, we are together. And this
Mm,
is really huge, because they learn tenderness, like I say. I mean, the more tender you are, the more connected you are, the more that you get from the other one.
mm.
I
But
mean, I
connection
think,
is very, very important, isn't it? And this is one of the big things that I learned from you when I came over. You come and do this training, and then you go away and you have time to reflect. And what I learned about my training with you was this power of connection that was missing in my life, and I needed to feel connected to be able to make very good choices in my life. And at that time, I wasn't making great choices. I was disconnected through different things that had happened. And actually, I came to you at a certain point that was the right point in my life to reconnect and and feel reconnected to myself again. And it was amazing for you to give that to me as the gift of that journey. And you know, part of what we teach now is about that power of connection, and it's people can override that and not see it and not know how important it is.
Well, the thing is that I have some questions. When people get disconnected from themselves from a very early age, they don't know how is the sensation of being connected because they never had it. So they cannot miss something that they never got. So it's like, you have to offer an experience of connection to feel it. Because
and this is where this works amazing, isn't it? You know, you couldn't just teach that, could you? You couldn't say, here's the theory, you know, go away and get connected. We're giving people that opportunity to have that light bulb moment that they wouldn't have any other time. It's such again a gift.
Yeah, and you said before you were disconnected, but to have a connection with a horse, the first thing is to connect to your body. If not, you will not be able to talk to a horse.
Yeah.
And that's the gift, and that's the idea. You go to your body, and when your body is completely connected, then you know what to do. Always. Sometimes it's difficult, sometimes it's simple, but you know where to go. You go south, you go direct, you stop. But when you are disconnected from your body, your brain takes all the decisions, and there are decisions not coming from the body and the heart, and then you get lost.
But that's exactly how the biology of a horse works, isn't it? You know, they are a prey animal, and some people don't understand the makeup of a horse because they don't understand that they're preyed upon in the wild, and this is why they have to stay in their groups, because they feel safety in numbers, and they're preyed upon in the wild, and they have to be able to use their body in the same way that we're trying to teach people to be aware of what's happening in their surroundings, and your body becomes the navigator of your world.
Yeah, like us. I mean, what is the big piece of a horse is that when some human approaches a horse, the nervous system has to scan if is danger in that animal, in that human. Okay.
Yes.
And then different states of the nervous system makes the horse more nervous, and others makes the horse calmer. So in that you have a reaction of the horse that offers you always some information about how is your nervous system. Even if you're not aware of that, you have someone showing you are calm, you are in fear, you're disconnected, you are incongruent. So at the very second, you have something that is teaching you what is going on. And that's a big piece.
And without that co-facilitator, let's call them a co-facilitator, we're the facilitators, but without that co-facilitator, you would never learn that, would you? No. I mean, we're very tuned into our bodies, obviously working with animals, probably more than if we weren't working with animals. But when you're an animal, that feedback is something that you would not have got anywhere else. You know, that feedback they give us is so valuable. And then for us to be able to work with our partner, our animal that helps us to facilitate that for a client, then it's such a powerful space to be in as a facilitator.
Yeah, but the facilitator has to see what is going on with a horse and what is going on with a human, and then do the link. I mean, when you work, for example, some people work with horses to work on fear, for example, and then after the session, you don't fear the horse. But my work is a little bit different. We work and see how fear feels in your body, and how do you do when you feel that fear, and just accompany you to get this fear out of your body, not getting disconnected when you have this sensation. And we do some gymnastics of the fear. We don't get disconnected. We come back from dissociation. We see the horse doing, and then that behavior is exactly the behavior that someone is having when he's going to work or when have some problems. And then after the session, when you've practiced with your own body with the guidance of a good facilitator,
Yeah.
next time when you experience that sensation, you know what to do, you know what is going on. And that's the key point.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly right, and it's fascinating to hear you say that, because I've experienced all of these things coming to you in learning more and more in depth about how my body operates. And actually, at times I know that I've gone into functional freeze, and obviously we experienced that when I was over there, because I was disconnected. And when you can put all these dots and lines back together, it makes sense as to how and why you do what you do. And the amount of people that are living their lives in disassociation, and I'm quite savvy and have done a lot of my personal work, but it just shows there's still a lot of work to do. And there's a lot of people out there that haven't even started that healing journey.
Yeah, but we know a lot about the nervous system. The point is how we do take that into something practical to help people. I mean, we know we do a diagnosis of someone, and this someone keeps in all that stuff for ages because it's difficult to bring that back. And that's difficult because trauma and nervous system work is about relationship. You need someone that it's regulated, that it's with you, that it's not scared if you go up into rage or something that makes you come back. I mean, it's relational. So when you begin this journey, you have to work on your own nervous system. That's my instrument.
Yeah, and I think what people don't realize is that, and we work on a scale of 1 to 10 in our work, so we see a lot of young children go from 0 to a 10, and they're disassociated or they've gone into the fight and flight. And actually, when we're talking about working on the nervous system, we're talking about the window of tolerance, aren't we? That that bit of a gauge in the middle that you expand, and you make so that simple things. And let's talk about the spider on the wall. You see the big spider on the wall, and I bet you have big ones where you live. The big spider on the wall, you go into flight, I'm off, and off you've gone, you've run, because this spider's going to kill you. And obviously we could go into a lot of talk about perceptional danger, but the danger of that spider killing us, you've gone into the fight and flight. But actually we need to work on that bit in the middle where you say there's a massive spider there behind you, Marta, but I can cope with that because I'm going to retreat from it and come back in, and not go straight into the fight and flight. And lots of people don't have any tolerance in their nervous system at all when it comes to the perception of danger.
Yeah, because trauma is automatic. If you feel in danger, you act as is danger. And the thing is to have someone at your side at the very point that you begin this automatic behavior.
Yeah.
Because that's what the key is. Many people that are listening to us will know that. I know what I have to do. When it happens, I can't do it. It's all the time. So I get there, I know it, I come back from a session, I say, I won't do it anymore. I do it once again. And I feel really guilty and really in shame after that. That is trauma. You get caught into the behavior of this nervous system, and that's my work, to see exactly what happens, to take it before it happens, and see which is the trigger, which is the sensation that all the behavior begins with. So you have to be aware, ping, something is happening. What can I do? I can do something, and change the pattern of the brain. So it's like walking a new path. The brain tell you go right, and you say, no, there's another path on the left. That's my work. Let's go to the left. And then it will go back to the right and say, no, go back to the left. to the left, since the brain just forgets about the right,
And obviously, when I came over to see you in September, we worked with your dear friend. Do you want to say his name? Because I still can't say
Javier.
Javier, who was a joy to be around. And his specialist work is around developmental work with children. And it was fascinating to learn. And obviously, I knew this anyway, that a lot of our patterns that we've created as children through our childhood, the things that shape us are the patterns that we now need to pick apart as we get older.
Yeah, I mean, when people connects with their own trauma or their own conflict, the body begins to show at what age that was happening. I mean, you will see many people when they get nervous, they begin to do movements like this. It's like a baby trying to soothe themselves, or like there are many things that are really interesting. The mind forgets about images and many things, but the body is like a book. You have to put some pressure onto the body, activate the body, and you will see at which point the body gets stuck. And there is what we have to work. It's not only being with a horse, it's like beginning to work with a horse. The horse always offers something. If you get stuck, if you get blocked, if you say nothing, if you look at one place or you look at another place, that's a lot of information about what is going on inside a human.
And obviously, we come across a lot of people in the UK that have problems with their horses. Well, the horse usually gets blamed for that behavior that they're exhibiting. And sometimes it's actually what's going on in that person rather than the actual horse. And I mean, I've learned that through my own experiences with my amazing horse, Harry. But there is usually one horse that comes along to teach you these things that you've been drawn to him for. He's there for a reason. And yeah, lots of people think that it's a horse behavior, where in actual fact the horses read body language, the horses read your energy, and they also read intent as well, don't they? So they know what's going on in us more than we know ourselves, which is quite sad.
Yeah. Well, it's for his survival. And another thing that the horse helps you a lot is about dynamics. I mean, your behavior is not the same in front of someone or someone else.
Mm.
And there are many behaviors that you can solve when you interact with horses, different horses. My horses are completely different. I have horses that say nothing, horses that ignore you, horses that wants to be with you. So people are different in characters, as horses are different. Each horse is an individual. So what is interesting is which horse makes you feel something or something different. It's not the same exercise. Some horse will look at you like this, and you will feel that, whoa, he's looking back to me, or another one will say, oh, she wants to be with me. The perception of the world is something that it's related to the nervous system. And that is really amazing, the dynamics. Even in couples, it's amazing how couples are so different. But when the woman is activated because she gets into anxiety and fear, gets blocked, and the other one activated, it's angry, and both different types of activation is blocking each other, and it's really interesting. That happens also with mothers and sons. The son is in fear, and then the mother is in more fear, and something gets bigger and bigger and bigger, like with horses. You are fearful of your horse feels you because you're insecure, is more agitated, and then it's difficult. So we are like mediators, we try to accompany people to a place where they can talk to the other one, they can have a conversation. But if the nervous system is activated, it's difficult to meet the other one. So it's also that work. How can I put people in a place, in an internal place, that being able to listen, see, and have a conversation. It's much easy, because having a conversation, being really anxious, is dangerous. Is where we
Yes.
fight, is where we flight. So which is the way to go back, to ventral vagal, to the place we feel, the other ones, we are ready to connect, ready to open, ready to have a conversation, because perception is different. You are overactivated and you only see what you have in front of your eyes. You lose all that. You smell different. You don't see other things. You feel your body different. It's our work, it's really useful. I help people that have to go to court, for example, for domestic violence, people that have to see people that have beaten them. I mean, I have to prepare. Somehow it's like I prepare people to go to war, to difficult places, you know with different resources. We need to feel the power, and the power is in our body. If we are disconnected, we feel no power at all, so we are completely helplessness.
Yeah. That's amazing, actually, what you do to help people with that. And it's the same with the prisoners as well, because you've talked a lot about how you've worked with these really aggressive, big, strong built, muscly men. And that would, to be fair, that they are not my target audience. But I'm
No.
fascinated. I do empathize with you, and think it's fascinating how you're working with these people and making changes, and how it changes them. And you don't obviously fear that explosion, but in the same sense, we work with very traumatized children, and that
Yeah,
can smash classrooms up, and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that are very dangerous in schools, because of their anxiety and their stress levels. um so I guess we just have the smaller versions of what you have.
No, I mean, it's exactly the same. But what I've learned from them is that the nervous system is activating, it goes up, up, up into a moment, that disconnection, and then comes the explosion.
Yeah.
So before some explosion, there's been seconds of disconnection because the body are not able to deal with the activation. So being connected is one piece. When you have a connection with someone, it's more difficult to explode. And I work a lot on, relationships. In the body, there are some different channels that you connect with people. You connect through the eyes. We look at each other, okay? But this can be a trigger.
Very much,
You
yeah.
have to know how to use the way that you're looking at people. We use our voices that go slow and softly. It's calming. If you begin to shout, is really activating. You know,
Yeah.
we use proximity. We use touch. We know how to use that, and how to read someone that is in front of us. And the other thing, I don't fight with them. I mean, even if they want to fight, I don't fight. I say, okay, it's different. It's like a horse. I won't fight with a horse. I'm like this.
Yeah.
So
They're a lot
I've
more bigger
learned.
and powerful than us, aren't they? And actually, you never win when
No.
if you try to do that anyway.
No. So the thing that I've learned as a female that I am, I'm not strong. So I've had to learn in a different way. I've learned to look. I've learned how to be with them, be in connection. You know, to be able to talk and to help. And what I've learned also is that some violent men have been and received a lot of violence in their childhood.
Yeah.
Nobody is violent by the day that you are born. Something happened. And when I begin to ask them what has happened in their childhood, at one point I stopped asking because it was so much. It's like a behavior, when a horse is violent, also it's like a behavior, it's like a reaction. They have learned to do that to get rid of something else.
Yeah, and we see that with the traumatized horses that have come through our charity. And I think what people need to realize as well is this is there's no quick fix. You know, sometimes it can take many months and many years for that
Well,
nervous system to be really calm again and in the animal, because you know, they're on that hyper alert for danger, aren't they? Because they really have been hurt.
yeah, yeah. Because violence and everything that touches your life, at every moment that you feel like this is the end, this is really deep. This is really, really deep, even if it's only once. When
Yes.
you experience that, that is fearful. I mean, we are not talking about fear of a little spider or something. It's fear for your life.
And
And that,
that's what your nervous system is there for, isn't it? It's there to protect you from real danger. But the thing is, lots of people have a perceived danger, and they react because their brain can't work out whether or not they're actually here in the moment,
yeah,
present, or in the past or in the future. And that's when your nervous system reacts to something
yeah.
outside of the time.
But you know, when you are a little child, you don't have the resources that you have as an adult. So being alone at home is a big,
Many adults don't have those resources as well.
yeah. But I mean, usually adults have more resources than children, you know.
Yeah.
But things that as an adult we think of them as little things are huge for a child.
Yes.
Being alone is really a big thing for a child. They don't have the resources. Us being alone, we can handle, we can phone, we can walk. What does a child alone at home, where does she
Where
goes
do
in?
they get that connection from?
Yeah,
And that touch and that connection, the love, the, you know, and many people we see that come through our programs, the child is totally out of body. They
yeah,
are totally, you know, if you wanted to touch them, then it's like
yeah,
you couldn't even touch their hand without them going into hyper,
yeah.
you know, vigilance of danger, danger, danger. And you
Oh,
know,
yeah, yeah.
even working backwards to just try and get that bit of connection and the touch is a big job. It's
Well,
not a 5 minute job.
no, no, no. Is all the channels that I told you before. I mean, we can get connected looking at each other, touching to each other. But when this look, it's hard. The touch is dangerous. The proximity is huge. You know, then everyone that comes into that channel is a danger and the body reacts. And that's another piece where animals can help a lot because they are a bridge. It's much
Yes,
easier to be touched by a horse than to be touched by a human.
absolutely.
So
Yes.
so that bridge that animals bring us, a dog that it's coming and they can hug a dog and they cannot hug a person, you know, but it's working with that. When you are hugging this dog, what is happening to you? How do you feel that? How is your breathe? How is your body? Can you look at me while you feel this connection with the animal? Look at me then you have a much more resourced child, you know. From that resource child you can look at me and relearn. Relearning is always much difficult than learn for the first time.
Yes, and it's quite sad, really, that we're not gifted with this knowledge as young parents or young people. You know, we have to go through life and learn this, and so it's nice to be able to give something back to the younger generation to help them and their families. And obviously, you know, trauma can go through generations, can't it?
Yeah.
So, you know, your parents can have passed it to you, and you can pass it to your children, and it's nice to have that, you know, even at my age, it's nice to be able to have that change now where can understand trauma, and I'm not passing that down my line.
No, and helping people. I mean, childs have mothers, mothers have got their own things, so it's difficult from a mother that is disconnected from her body to hug a child. I mean, I'm a mother of two, so I know what it is to be overwhelmed by many things, you know. It's difficult at some point. It's difficult, but we have to come back to our bodies. And one thing, when people get disconnected from their bodies is because the body is so uncomfortable. It
Yeah.
is not a chosen action. So coming back to the body, you have to be slowly also, because the body is uncomfortable. You cannot take someone back to the body. Just they will find again the same activation. You have to be gentle. You have to listen and be at the pace that the body can handle.
Yes, absolutely. And the work that we do is really, really important, because lots of people think that healing comes from the top down, don't they? They think the talk therapy is the way forward, and that's the way that we're socially expected to go to your doctors, go to talk therapy, go to the children go to CAMS, where actually this work is like life changing for adults and children, but it's actually a bottom up approach.
Yeah, but I think that both are interesting. You have to regulate your body and
Yeah,
understand what is going on. You
yeah,
have to, everything is connected. I mean, the head is so interesting to have a good head. Head helps a lot, thinking. I love studying. I spend all my days studying something, but you have to have a quiet body to let all the knowledge in and be
yes.
able to use it and to enjoy it. Because for me, life is to enjoy life. If not, what for? So
Absolutely. And this is, a lot of problems that we see with young children is that they're too anxious to absorb the information when learning. And certainly for me as a woman, I was too anxious as a young woman, as a child, after my trauma, to experience any sort of learning. It took me till I was in my 30s and 40s before I started to learn. So now I feel like I'm on that fast train of learning, like I need to learn more, I need to learn more, because this is fascinating, we need to share this.
yeah, but the thing is to get in a place from the nervous system that allows your senses to take things into your brain. I mean,
Yes,
if you are
yeah.
anxious, your body is only looking for danger, is impossible. And
And
also, tell me.
yeah, so and obviously what happens is people go into the reptilian part of their brain, their animal brain. We talked about being an animal and being social, but people go into this animal brain, which is the oldest brain that from evolution, isn't it? And
Yeah.
they go into that part of the brain, and then the logical part from the front is not aligned anymore. And so that's where they disconnect from their brain, and then also from their body.
Yeah, it's so frustrating. I mean, now I'm going back to university, I'm studying again. And what happens now is that reading is so tiring for me. To read, it makes me like this. Is tiring and it's boring to be seated and reading. And what I've done is just to read out, do some recordings, and then
Right.
I put my voice and I listen to my voice when I feed the horses, whenever. And that comes so slowly in, and it's wonderful. It's another channel, it's another way of learning. I think also that learning by reading using the eyes so much. The eyes is an important piece of the nervous system. Is the first thing when something happens, what do? You look. When you are in fear, you do like this. When you are in vagal ventral, you do like this. And studying makes you life harder. And imagine all the time like this. This is like being focused for danger.
Yeah.
No, we can learn outside. Many of my students come to my place, that it's a beautiful place, and it seems that we are doing nothing because it's beautiful and it's funny, and this sensation that it seems that work hard, it's important, but if you are just learning differently, it seems that you do nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. But actually, the small things are happening in your nervous system, aren't they? And I know that from being there when we went through the woodland and we went down to the round pen. And, you people very often say when they come to my place, oh gosh, it's so lovely here, isn't it? And that's the small bit of them starting to come down on their nervous system. And that's got to happen. You've got to feel that safety and reduction in your nervous system being on hyper alert.
Yeah, we have to come back to nature.
Yeah, absolutely. It is the way forward with healing, and it's there, it's free. And being out with animals and being in nature is a gift, isn't it? It's a gift that we've been given, and we're just not using that resource.
Yeah, yeah.
It's our medicine, as I tell everybody. Okay, Marta, is there anything else you wanted to talk about before we come to an end?
No, that I would like to come to England. You have such a beautiful countryside that I lovely.
Oh, no, you can't say that to me when you have such a beautiful place out there, because your place is stunning.
I've chosen my place because there are so different places in a place. That's what I wanted, to bring people different scenarios, different smells, different types of work, different types of light. That was my dream, and at the end I find my property. So I'm there
And
for
the thing that I found fascinating out there, and we still talk about it now, is the wild pigs.
Oh, there is a lot of wild pigs and deers, and now we have another animal coming from South America. It's like I don't know the name in English. What's a castor? No, the ones that have these two like rabbits that eat wood.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we have a lot of wild animals. Eagles, we have domestics and wild, trying to be together.
Brilliant. Okay, Marta. Thank you for joining me today. I've really enjoyed talking to you, as always, and I could probably talk to you forever. But if anybody wants to get hold of you, how do they get hold of you?
Well, I'm on different social media. It just to put my name, Marta Cirera. It's different. It can be a little bit difficult for English to spell that. But I'm on Facebook, on Instagram. They can find me, or on somatic experiencing list. They can
Instructor,
find me.
yeah.
Yeah.
And what we'll do is we'll make sure that we put your link to your website in our podcast and anything else that we put out there on social media, so that they can find you.
Thank you so much. And I would like to come to the UK and be able to share that with all these people.
Yeah, well, what we'll do is we'll put some information out to all of our email list, and obviously, our instructors that have been working with us this year, we can also pass your details on for them to learn more about what you do, and maybe they can come and join us when you come to us.
Oh, yeah, that would be
in
great.
May.
If they want a little bit of sun, they will find it.
Well, let's hope it doesn't rain when you come. We don't need it to rain.
No, we don't have much rain. That's a pity now with the water. Much drier. But anyway. Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much for joining me, Marta. And if anybody wants any information about Marta and the amazing work that she does, we're going to pop the notes in the bottom of the podcast. Thank you, Marta.
Thank you.
There we go. Let's just stop that.